Okay, there you go.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar Wednesday series for the Texas Association of College and University Student Personnel Administrators, known as TACUSPA. TACUSPA enhances higher education and student success by cultivating relationships and engagement that promote leadership development among current and aspiring student affairs practitioners and scholars. Our vision is leading innovation in student development, engagement, and success. TACUSPA is an association of administrators, staff, faculty, students, and others interested in the professional administration of student affairs programs in higher education. The association's core values include development, advocacy, and networking. And before I continue, I'm going to hand it off to Brooke Errington, who's going to make a little announcement about some important things happening with TACUSPA.
Yeah, so howdy everybody. My name is Brooke Errington. I currently serve as the Director of Membership and a 2024 TACUSPA Conference Chair. And so I've got a couple of announcements regarding TACUSPA in general and kind of what's happening behind the scenes. So as a member, you should have gotten an email this morning that talked about nominations for the TACUSPA board. We have reopened the nomination period, and in the email it said that we didn't secure enough of a pool, and so we're reopening that. And so nominations can happen up until July 16th at 11:59 is when it will close. We are open to self-nominations and you nominating other people. They just need to be TACUSPA members in order to be on our ballot. So that's super exciting. We have 4 positions open. We have president, president-elect, the VP of Membership and Marketing, Vice President of Education and Research, and our secretary position. So that's super exciting to have 4 new openings on our board. And then also be on the lookout, be checking your email because conference updates will be coming pretty soon about registration opening, conference proposals, educational session proposals, and all of that. So there's lots of good things happening in TACUSPA right now, and we communicate all of that through the email that's on your profile. So please make sure that that information is up to date.
Thank you, Brooke, for sharing that. It's really important information there getting involved. A year ago, I was a fellow, and now I'm hosting webinars. So maybe board aspirations are on your horizon. So I encourage anyone interested to pursue that, or if there's someone else that comes to mind, to nominate them. So we'll proceed with today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, getting to know our TACUSPA fellows. Very lighthearted, more focused on the networking, the core value of TACUSPA today. My name is Josh Meredith, and I am the Director of Student Life currently at South Plains College, and I serve as the Director of Webinars for TACUSPA. I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for our webinar series, Elyssa College, Alex and the team hosting the back-end Zoom part of this. It might go unnoticed, but it's so valuable and they do a great job. So thank you, Alex and Elyssa College. I would also like to take a moment to thank the TACUSPA Foundation, who is the sponsor of the Thomas Moorman Fellowship Program, which we are featuring today. If you have any questions at all, and please, these can be today as more informal, networking, not as content heavy, more getting to know, right? If you have any questions at all, please put them in the Q&A or the chat. We can pull them from either spot. But please feel free to put a question that we'll bring forward and answer if you have time at the end. And yes, we'll at the very end address any questions. So without further ado, let me introduce our presenters. First up, we have, I spoke too soon. Let me tell you a little bit about the Thomas Moorman Fellowship Program before introducing our presenters. Thomas Moorman Fellowship, the purpose is to provide an intensive professional development experience, mentoring and support to future leaders in the association and the field of student personnel administration. The program, as I mentioned, is funded by the TACUSPA Foundation. Each year, the Foundation Committee recommends the number of fellows that can be supported based on the cost of conference registration, lodging, and the revenue generated from prior year's donations. The program pairs selected fellows with a TACUSPA volunteer leader to complete a project developed by the Board of Directors. Throughout the fellow's term, they will be guided and mentored by an experienced association volunteer leader under the supervision of a board member. Fellows were selected and have begun working on their assigned projects. The projects must be completed by September 15th to be eligible for conference registration, lodging, and other travel. And they'll present their completed project to the board during a regular meeting in the fall, and they will be recognized at the 2024 TACUSPA annual conference. Big stuff happening, lots of cool opportunities for young professionals who have been selected to the fellowship program. So now, let me introduce 3 of our 6 fellows for this year. First up, we have Trinity Douglas. Trinity Douglas is a career consultant for the College of Professional Education at Texas Women's University. She is the Student Affairs on-campus Journal Fellow for this summer. And fun fact, you all didn't know, I didn't put it on the slide, but she loves to be outdoors, especially in the warm weather, and is probably planning, probably not during the webinar, but probably planning her next hike right now as we speak. Next up, we have Debra, forgive me, I'm going to do my best here. Debra Balandran. There we go. Graduate Research Assistant for the College of Health Sciences and Department of Public Health at Sam Houston State University. She is our Membership and Marketing Fellow. Fun fact about her, she is left-handed and collects Titanic books. That's pretty cool. Last but not least, we have Elyssa Garcia, Director of Student Activities and Student Life at Odessa College. She is our Professional Development and Webinar Fellow. A fun fact about Elyssa, she's a dog mom of 3 dogs, Jax, Winston, and Toby. Who doesn't love dogs? So without further ado, let's dive in. I've got some, the way we'll do this, I've got some questions for each of them. Let me put my questions here. What I'll do is I'll pose the question to the group, and then we'll give each one in order that they were introduced and let them each answer the question. So first question I have, and we'll start with Trinity, and then Debra, and then Elyssa. First question I have for you, tell us a little bit about yourself, your education, your background, anything else you'd like us to know, and then how you got involved with TACUSPA.
Yes, thank you, Josh. So I am Trinity. So I do work at the university, or the Texas Women's University up in North Texas in the DFW area, in the College of Professional Education. I'm a career consultant. So I started in this position, I think, as a career consultant around a little over 6 months ago. I had been an academic advisor for about a year before that. So I'm newer to higher education in general. So one of the reasons I wanted to get involved in higher education is right now I'm pursuing my master's in licensed professional counseling. Alongside working here at TWU, I'm pursuing that at TWU, and I'm really interested in merging human relationships and just how people develop alongside that educational journey, because I had a bit of a little kind of untraditional pathway through higher ed. I graduated high school at the same time with my associates and spent very little time in my undergrad, so I've kind of speed ran a lot of things. So I'm just interested in helping students really make meaningful time, whatever your, whatever your background is, whatever your experience is. So I got involved with TACUSPA. The director of student life over here at TWU messaged the director of the Career Center, and she said, "Hey, I know you've got an employee that qualifies for this. I think this would be a great opportunity for her." And that's how I found out about TACUSPA. So it's kind of been, goodness, a fast-paced road since then, because it was right around the time of fellowship application. So I got involved with that process, and then here we are as the fellow for the journal.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds very familiar, because my vice president, I'd never heard of TACUSPA. My vice president forwarded me an email and said, "You should consider applying for this." So I joined, applied, and that's what happened. So welcome, Trinity. Thanks for sharing. We'll move on. Debra, same question. Tell us a little about yourself and your background and how you got connected with TACUSPA.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Debra Balandran, and I'm a second-year master's student at Sam Houston State University. I'm currently pursuing my master's in public health with a concentration in health education and promotion. how I kind of got involved with TACUSPA, it came through a colleague who's involved in TACHE, which is the Texas Association of Chicanos in Higher Education. That's kind of how I heard. She had forwarded me an email and she's like, hey, kind of like what happened in Trinity. I think you're really fit for this. You should apply for the fellowship. And that's kind of how I found out about TACUSPA. And I was like, okay. So that's how I kind of joined the organization. And then also I applied and I was selected to be a fellow, and which I'm really excited about because learning more about TACUSPA, and I'm currently a graduate research assistant for the Department of Public Health. I'm wanting to work in higher education. I would like to become faculty. So kind of getting started working as a graduate assistant and then kind of moving forward and working with other students. It's really something that I'm really passionate about. I'm a non-traditional student. I just graduated with my BA last August and then started my master's right after. So I'm really excited about higher education and helping other students like myself kind of navigate their way through public health and just in general their academic journey.
Awesome. I actually talked to a student here yesterday we take some classes here at South Plains College, and then her goal is to work in public health and this dreams of action. So really important work that you're doing. I love that. So thanks for sharing. Elyssa, your turn. Tell us about yourself, your background, and how you got involved with the TACUSPA.
Hi, I'm Elyssa. I'm the Director of Student Activities at Odessa College. A little bit about myself is I was a teacher for 2.5 years, and I've always loved seeing students succeed and being successful. And throughout getting my associates, I loved student life. I loved the activities. I loved being involved and being highly involved. So when the opportunity came to go into higher education, I took the opportunity right away. And I've loved it ever since then. I love what I do. I'm currently trying to pursue my master's. I actually got into my program on Monday, so I've been super excited about that, super excited about my journey. I found out about TACUSPA because my supervisor, the executive director for student life at Odessa College, she had gone to the TACUSPA conference and came back and was raving about it, loved what was happening, loved the things that were happening at TACUSPA. She was telling me about Josh and how his experience was and how she wanted to see that in me. So she was like, you need to become a fellow, you need to apply. So I applied to become a fellow, and now I'm the fellow for webinars. I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize she was talking about me. That's so exciting. It's been cool to have Elyssa part of this journey because Elyssa and I both are part of the TJCSGA, Texas Junior College Student Government Association. We both are advisors to our student governments here at South Plains College, Odessa College, and we're in the same region. So Elyssa and I have spent a lot of time together, and it's really cool to have Elyssa on board as a fellow. So we'll kind of get into the details a little bit here. Tell us, I know it's early, I know we just started, but tell us about your role with TACUSPA, and then some of the things that you're working on, learning, doing. What are you going to be working on this summer? So Trinity, we'll start with you.
Yes, so I am the campus journal fellow, excuse me. And essentially my project is going to be, I'm going to develop videos navigating the publication process and how you submit to the journal, really just kind of some basics of publishing for some authors that are a little bit newer to the process. So I'm going to be publishing some video guides that are going to be on the TACUSPA YouTube, hopefully just some helpful guides throughout the process. We're going to start with authors, and if we have more time, then we'll go into reviewers and editors and different people along in the process. But right now we're focusing on authors and really getting some videos out there for the journal just in general to kind of get its name out there a little bit more. I've been working with Dr. Streetzel and going through the publication process and, what the preprints are like for the journal, the history of the journal, everything like that. And then I was fortunate enough to join the exec board meeting with Dr. Holzweiss last week, I think it was last week. I don't know. Everything moves so fast in the summer. But I was able to join that meeting to hear, the exec board of the journal talk about what they do and their perspective on the videos. So it's very exciting. We're hoping to get a lot of things rolling soon, maybe write out a script and get some boots on the ground with it.
That's awesome. Really exciting. Dr. Spitzel, I think, did the same master's program as me, which is this like obscure liberal arts school in Indiana. And so when I met him at the TACUSPA conference, it was like worlds colliding. Really cool. That's awesome. And I will say, before we continue here, one of the cool things for me in being a fellow was as I kind of got plugged in and connected in the conference, to interact with others for TACUSPA and say, hey, I got this idea. You were a webinars fellow. I've got this idea for webinars. Or I want to introduce you to so-and-so. And so for those who are attending today, if you have questions, if you have contact info, if you have anything you want to share, we invite you to put that in the chat, in the Q&A. We want this to be a great space for networking and connection and ideas. And so if you have anything, please share it. But we'll go ahead and proceed. Debra, tell us about your role with TACUSPA and some of the things that you're working on this summer.
Yeah, so I'm a fellow and I was assigned to the membership and marketing sector. So I'm working with Shelby Hearn, which that's really exciting, and a few other individuals. There's actually two fellows. It's me and Mariana, who are both working on this, the marketing and membership sector. But I'm currently going to be doing some social media content, some engaging videos, kind of going over our newsletters. As we get them via email, sometimes not everybody looks at their email. So we just really want to highlight our newsletters each month. So that's what I've been working on. It's kind of doing some highlight reels on kind of showing the last month and the month before that, kind of going over our newsletter. So our TACUSPA members on social media platforms can see that very quickly, just to kind of engage with them. Because we have those platforms and we just want to get some more views on that. I'm also going to be doing some conference, and these are early stages, conference engagement strategies. So I'm going to be doing like a member spotlight there at the conference and kind of getting some feedback from current members and new members, so we can kind of gain some new members to kind of showing why you are a TACUSPA member, what inspired you to be a part of it, what's kind of kept you, along going. Is there anything that, future members or current members need to know about? So I'm going to be doing that, going to be capturing that at the actual conference, but I'm getting things ready for that when the conference comes. So those are kind of two things that I'm going to be working on and tackling.
That's awesome. That's a lot of really great work. I know the challenge and getting involved with TACUSPA has been, we could do this and this and this and this, and we can promote it here and here and here. And there's only so many hours in the day. So really cool to see that y'all are addressing a need that we have and really helping get the word out there through your fellowship this summer. So, and you mentioned Mariana. We'll be doing a part 2 for getting to know our TACUSPA fellows in August. So I'm going to just put that plug in there. First Wednesday in August, we'll be introducing y'all to the other 3 TACUSPA fellows that we have for this summer. So didn't want to miss that opportunity. Speaking of promotion and marketing, Elyssa came to me with all these ideas of like, we can do this and this and this for webinar. So Elyssa, tell us about your role and what are you going to be working on this summer?
So just like Josh said, I've been really hitting our promoting really hard for webinars, trying to get people here and watching, but also on the flip side of getting presenters and getting people to speak to us and sharing their knowledge. I kind of started with like analyzing like, where can we improve? Where do I see things that like we can advertise here or there? And just sharing my ideas with Josh, as well as working with some other departments and seeing like, what can I do to get webinars out there and available for more TACUSPA members.
Yeah, I was really excited when we had our first meeting and introduced Elyssa. And she said, Josh, the website needs this, and we can do this through social media. And I said, yeah, I'm so glad you're here to help with all of that. So, Elyssa, we're glad to have you on board. And one of the cool things, at least for me in work, is that when you find talented people who can see needs and create and come up with cool ideas, like there's always a need for that. And lots of different parts of the world. And so for you to bring those ideas and be excited was really encouraging for me. We'll move along here. Talking about what you're going to be working on, thinking kind of with the end in mind or the conclusion of that, what are you hoping to gain? What do you want to learn? Who do you want to connect with? What do you want to experience during your time as a TACUSPA fellow? What do you hope to gain in your time as a student?
Yes, so there's the obvious piece of learning a little bit more about the publishing process and what the behind the curtain of being involved in a journal, what that's like. Dr. Streetzel has wanted to emphasize that this is a very big educational opportunity for me, and that I'm getting to learn the ins and outs of different things like that, which is highlighted by the process of making a video, because if you can teach somebody about it, you know it yourself. So definitely learning about that. And then the huge piece of just getting connected with other people at other institutions. Like I said, I'm very new to higher ed, so just learning how things work at different universities, learning different roles at universities, even learning, okay, this title and this title, that sounds like the same position, because they can be called so many different things at different places. So just getting connected, and just reaching out to other professionals within, similar positions at different institutions.
Sure. I think that's part of the reason we're doing this, is just to put faces and names out there, to talk about what you're working on, and hopefully facilitate some of that for you. So, yeah, Debra, we'll move on here. What do you hope to gain and learn and connect? Who do you want to connect with during your time as a TACUSPA fellow?
Yeah, so really what I look for gaining as a fellow is going to be really networking with others. I didn't really know what TACUSPA was, but as I kind of really did research, there is a lot of members all over the state and even out of state. So it's really cool to kind of learn and kind of see what different people do in different universities. So I really want to get to kind of navigate and kind of network with other individuals. In the current role that I'm doing, I hope to learn and work with other platforms, creating social media content and creating other things. That's one big thing that I'm really excited for, is going to allow me to kind of work on other skills and build on current skills that I have, but also work with new platforms to allow to be more creative and to kind of get TACUSPA out there. Another thing is that it's a unique opportunity for me. I don't have a lot of experience working in higher ed, so really learning what others do and their positions and what their work positions are and their experiences being in TACUSPA. That's really what I would like to gain and kind of grow from there.
Yeah, I love that. I have this little desk calendar from my favorite author, Seth Godin, and it's got these little blurbs each day. And one of the blurbs a couple weeks ago said, to learn from experience, you got to have new experiences. So it's the best way to learn and grow is put yourself out there and to find those places where you can just soak it up. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Elyssa, what do you hope to gain, learn, to connect with during your time as a TACUSPA fellow?
Yeah, so something I push really hard in just myself and my professional development is mentorship and finding good mentors to kind of help me through this path, especially since I'm a new professional. I've only been doing this about a year, so someone that I can kind of follow their footsteps. As long as meeting people that kind of have the same job title as me, like, okay, what are your best practices? How do you do this? How do you go about these different scenarios and situations? And kind of just seeing how they've been working around things that I'm also experiencing. As well as I have never done a webinar before, really knew much about webinars and did some research. And, it seems like everybody has a podcast now or is doing something on the internet with TikTok or with YouTube. So it was really fun to be able to, see myself dipping my toe in that world of just webinars and podcasts and all of that.
Yeah, it's one thing to join and just watch a webinar. I know the Chronicles Higher Education, that you could transform with Brian Alexander. There's a few different, not a few, there's a lot of podcasts and webinars and YouTube channels and content out there. But when you're on this side of it, it's a whole different experience. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but so much to learn and grow and absorb and do. And, glad to have you as part of the team. So we're way ahead of schedule here. We'll put this last question, but then we'll circle back. And any other questions from the audience? It can be more serious or not as serious. We'll address it once we get through all of our questions here. So next question I have for y'all is, what are you currently reading, watching, listening to that inspires you? It can be a book, TV show, podcast, an album you listen to. It can be anything. I draw inspiration from lots of sources. So Trinity, what are you reading, watching, listening to that's been inspiring to you?
Yeah, so most of the content I have time to consume is going to be counseling related. So because I have so many textbooks, I'm sure you all, are familiar with, that you just have to get through for different things. I am reading Emotion Focus Therapy right now by Sue Johnson, which seems like it would have a loose connection to being involved in higher education, but it really emphasizes how you pick up on like underlying emotions and really being attuned to what somebody is experiencing, which is very universal. So I really like the humanistic component of it, and it's just something that you can apply to a lot of different areas of life, professional and personal. So it's very specific to counseling, but Emotion Focused Therapy by Sue Johnson would be mine.
There you go. Yeah, you're working in a master's program. Yeah, you have an abundance of free time, I'm sure. Debra, your turn. What are you reading, watching, listening to? What are you drawing inspiration from that you would like to share?
Yeah, so currently I'm reading Strengths-Based Leadership. It's Great Leaders and Teams and Why People Follow. It's by Barry Conchi and Tom Rapp. It kind of follows the Clifton Strengths Assessments. It kind of goes off of that. So I had taken my Clifton Strengths Assessments about a year or two ago, and my mom gave me this book a few weeks ago, and when I opened it, I was like, oh, this kind of goes off with what I've already done with the Gallup. So I'm currently reading that. It's really going off of your strengths if you have taken the assessments, and kind of telling you a little bit more about your individual strengths for effective leadership and team building. So that's currently what I'm reading. But I am really big on listening to podcasts. I commute a lot, so I have several podcasts that I like to listen to, like the Mindset Mentors one. I like Cafecito con Estrellita, that's another one. I also listen to Latino USA, and then one that's just kind of off the wall is Chiquis and Chill. I really like to kind of listen to different things to kind of keep my mind going, and kind of also relax at the same time, since I'm constantly always busy. Listening to different podcasts allows me to do that, to kind of focus either on academics and then just personal, and just kind of how to build your mindset. So those are a few things that I like to do, that keeps me inspired and keeps me going, and kind of breaking things up while you're in higher ed.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned strengths, because it's a personal favorite of mine. And for me, having done the strength assessment at different points in my career, started as a college student, and it was this eye-opening thing of, well, what am I actually good at? And then take it again throughout my life and kind of see how your top 5 shift, but it can really be a lens to learn more about yourself. So I think a lot of folks are familiar, but if you're not, I'd love to chat. Maybe Debra can share what she's learning from reading through strengths-based leadership. It also sounds, so we have actually a section of our newsletter that we have, what are we reading and listening, so somebody might want to lean on you for some newsletter content in our upcoming newsletters. So Elyssa, your turn. What are you reading, watching, listening to that's been inspiring for you?
So I thought about this question. I could not come up with anything. Right now, I've just kind of been taking a break from school and like reading things that like help me. I've just kind of been doing things personally, like watching like true crime stuff. So I really have not read anything that's been inspiring, unless like watch out for strangers, but that's pretty much it.
Balance, self-care, boundaries. All of these are good things. I think there's some good stuff we can glean from your answers. So thank you for sharing that. I remember when I finished my master's program, I didn't want to read any books, or I just wanted to turn my brain off for a period. And you're getting ready to start, so you're enjoying the calm while you can. Yeah. So let me go over here now. We've got 4 questions. Question for our panelists and Josh. As a representative of the TACUSPA Foundation and past president of the association, I'd love to know, as newer professionals with newer involvement in TACUSPA, what you'd like to see TACUSPA offering to other new professionals, either at the annual conference or other times throughout the year. So as new TACUSPA members, fellows, and I guess me as well, what are some things you'd like to see the association offer new professionals? And we don't have to go in the same order. If anybody hasn't answered, please jump in.
I have something. So, something that I gave to Josh as an idea when I was spewing out all my ideas to him was to have maybe a webinar dedicated to new professionals, just like a Q&A, a round table where we can ask our questions that we have to other professionals that are either on the same level as us, higher than us. And then something I would like to see at the conference is maybe the same thing, but in person. I know at the TJC Student Government Association conferences, they put all of the advisors in one room and we kind of just ask the questions that we have, whether it's about budgeting or, how do you handle this kind of student? How do you handle this kind of delegation? And I think I would really like to see something like that as, all of us kind of just getting together and like bouncing ideas off each other and bouncing, advice and tips for each other.
I definitely agree with that, because of course there is merit in, networking with professionals of all different levels, but there's definitely a level of camaraderie with newer professionals. And if you don't know who other newer professionals are, then it's definitely hard to connect. So I think being able to have identification, whether it's through a webinar, through something at the annual conference, which may already happen. This will be my first conference, so this could be something that's already happening, but I think that would be very beneficial.
Same, I agree. I'm really big on wanting to know individuals. So having something before or even at the conference, like everyone's mentioned, is really nice. Especially being new to TACUSPA and seeing the names on the website, and some of them have pictures, some of them not. Being able to kind of meet them and kind of introduce ourselves as well, and where we see ourselves in our positions and where we want to grow. And them allowing us to kind of network with them, that would be really cool with other professionals.
Sounds like that might be a good, I think it's September webinar that we could pencil in ahead of the conference to make it super informal, and I don't know how the format would work for this, but we could work on that definitely. And I know for me, the thing that was really beneficial was we went, I think it was a day early, to the conference, and they had like a new professional, young professionals session with Dr. Wilkinson. That was really helpful, just to be in a room of like new professionals and say, what school you with and where are you from, and then you kind of had your people. So when everyone else showed up and you were at breakfast or whatever, you already had that entry point to others who were kind of in the same boat. And so that was really, I figured that's what's called, like the New Professionals Institute or something like that. I put my programs on my conference right here on my test. That was helpful. So Elyssa, I do love your idea of like bringing in some of that connection, if it's possible to do it like through a webinar. I think it's a really great idea. So question from Brooke: how can the general membership support you as you are working on the project? Thinking like attending webinars or following us on social media, etc. How can the general membership support you as fellows as you're working on your projects?
I know for me, I feel that being on like the actual membership, like some of the things that we've came up with, I feel like can boost others to kind of join and kind of know about it. Like for myself, I didn't know what TACUSPA was until someone informed me about it. Also, I'm in public health, so it's a different sector. The individual that told me about TACUSPA is in actual higher education and the department there. So I feel like being able to market to other different colleges or different majors would be I think, very appealing, just for someone like myself who's in public health that wants to work in higher education and know that this is there to be able to support them. I feel like the webinars have been very helpful. Social media is obviously one big thing that everybody tends to use, and I feel like it's an easy tool to kind of market TACUSPA and trying to inform others about this is what the membership does. You are able to learn about X, Y, and Z. We have monthly webinars, just different things like that. And something that also popped into my head would be kind of doing like a social, but on Zoom. That will also allow other members to kind of meet new members or past current members to kind of meet throughout a month, just so they can kind of interact with others, not in person, because I know obviously the conference is coming up in September and it'll be my first conference as well, where I feel like having something before, like a social, and even after, because that will allow us to kind of continue those relationships with who we meet outside of the conference and keep going.
You also add on this, how come, membership support you as you're working on the topic?
For the journal project, if there's any members that have gone through the publishing process with the TACUSPA journal, and if they want to share anything that they think would be helpful to put in a video, or they had an issue with, because I know we just got into the OJS system. I think this is the second journal with the OJS system. So if there's anything that they know that would be helpful that they encountered, then you can definitely shoot that to the journal Gmail, and we can check that out and get it edited into the script.
When it comes to memberships and webinars, I think it'd be good if maybe our members, invited a friend over to the webinars that maybe is not into TACUSPA or maybe is into TACUSPA, but doesn't really come to the webinars, just so we can show them like what amazing things we're doing, all of the great content that we have. And, just making sure that we're promoting, and because it seems like a lot of us know about TACUSPA because of word of mouth. So I think that's a great way to spread the message about everything that we're doing here.
Yeah, and I will give a plug for the TACUSPA YouTube channel. Neil has done an excellent job spinning up our YouTube channel, and then uploading all of our webinars onto there. So we've had webinars on I forget the title, but it was essentially publishing for dummies. Like, any questions about publishing in a journal, like here's an open forum to bring those questions and to talk about the publishing process. We had a webinar on getting involved with TACUSPA, right? I know what TACUSPA is. I see the newsletters, I see the social media. How do I get involved? What are the committees? What are people doing with TACUSPA that I can help with? So YouTube has some really great content. And it might even be worth sitting out and saying, hey, like, here's a really great video from a webinar, how to get involved. Like, I think it'd be great. So I want to give a plug for that, but I think it could also be helpful as y'all reach out and connect with others. That's great. This one's kind of back to what Debra brought up, the Clifton strengths. Debra, what are your Clifton strengths? What are your top 5 strengths? And if anyone else has done the top 5 for the Clifton strengths assessment, what are your top 5 strengths?
Yeah, so my top is, the first one is connectedness. My second one's achiever, and then input, discipline, and learner. And I did that. I was a peer health ambassador at SAM about a year and a half ago. So they did that initially because it was 5 of us in undergrad who were going to be promoting health education to students. So they really wanted us to kind of bond and kind of see exactly where we kind of were prior to getting started. And it was really interesting because I was like, oh, okay, these are my results. But once you really read into what your results are, you're kind of like, okay, that is me. Because you think you perceive one thing of yourself, but until you take an assessment, it kind of really tells you these are really your strengths and what you can do and what you do well. So it was really nice to take it. And I had taken it again, but I had gotten the similar results. Earlier in the year just because I had to. But I kind of stuck with the first results that I got just because I feel like those are true to me. But it was very interesting to kind of see how those kind of transpire and people kind of connect with you because of those results. And they're like, oh, okay, I can see how that fits you.
Done. Go ahead,
Debra, I have a lot of similar strengths as you. Mine are connectedness, input, achiever, communication, and competition. And whenever I took them, yes, I know competition is fifth. Whenever I took them, I had that reaction of, oh, that doesn't seem like a good thing. But going through like the Clifton Strengths book and reading about it, I was like, okay, I see how that can be a strength. So I also like that it can bring up some things like, okay, let's reframe this a little bit to where it's something that can be a strength, because competition can be good. And I have learned to realize that and internalize that.
Elyssa, have you done the Strengths Finder?
I have done Strengths Finder. I don't remember what my strengths were. It's been a couple of years that I've done it, but I'm like literally Googling it right now because I want to do it right now to find out what my strengths are again.
Yeah, I did it a few years ago and they just kind of did how they do their report. So I got an email from them and it said, hey, we've like gone back through, we've kind of cleaned up and reorganized how we give you your top 5 strengths report. And that was really helpful for me. And I had to go back and like forgot your password and do all of that. But my top 5: strategic, learner. Debra, when you were like riddling off all the podcasts and things like Elyssa, I was like, she's got to have learner in her top 5. Strategic, learner, responsibility, activator, and restorer. So very insightful for me in understanding myself. And again, it's not putting yourself in a box, but like I mentioned, it just helps you understand yourself and the good qualities that we have to offer. So if anyone has not done it, I encourage them to take it and read the book, and it's made me a better professional person. And I encourage others to take advantage of that. So don't receive any other questions in the Q&A. I'll do this. Are there any questions y'all have for the audience, for anybody out there? Is there anything else you want to add? I'll just open it for anything else that's on your mind that you might want to bring up while we have this space.
Not necessarily a question, but thank you for the opportunity to come and let us talk about what we're doing and get to meet other fellows. It's nice to meet both of you. So thank you for this opportunity.
Sure, yeah. I think this was Alyssa's idea. We were talking about some different things and someone brought it up and I said, that's an amazing idea just to have a webinar getting to know our fellows. So I really appreciate y'all taking the time to join today in the middle of the summer on a Wednesday. I'm glad y'all made time for this. So.
Yeah, no problem. I'm really excited that y'all did this because I know we get to meet each other at the conference, but that's in September. So getting to know who we are before we get there kind of, it's a really good idea. So Elyssa, thank you for doing that because I'm a person that likes to network and kind of meet people. Like Josh, I've met you before in a Zoom meeting before this. But it's really good to hear y'all and kind of hear what y'all are going through, what y'all are doing, what y'all expectations are. And also from the other entities too. It's really great to kind of connect.
Yeah, no, thank you, Josh, for putting this all together. It's been really great, getting the emails and following up, and you kind of had everything laid out for us. So I really appreciate that, because I need everything laid out for me, or I will be a complete mess. And just thank you to everybody that made the TACUSPA Thomas Moorman Fellowship decisions, and just thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I'll thank you. You said emails, and the first thing that came to mind for me was the email announcing the webinar. I had nothing to do with, because I've been on vacation the last 2 weeks, and Elyssa helped figure that email and send that out. So really great to have you on the team. I didn't have to stress about it while I was on vacation, or God forbid, work while I was on vacation. So thank you so much for doing that. And unless there's any other questions or anything else, we'll go ahead and close. Thank you all for joining, for taking the time to answer some of these questions, letting folks know who you are. Yeah, actually, we'll end with this. If folks want to connect with you and get some ideas for your project, what's the best way folks to connect with you? Email, LinkedIn, what's the best way people can connect with you? We'll do Trinity, Debra, Elyssa. There we go.
Yeah, so I can I don't know how to go about it. I can put it in the chat here.
Yeah,
but
let's do that.
Perfect. Yeah, you can always shoot me an email for my TWU email, tdouglas5 on the 5th, tdouglas to go to TWU. So you can always shoot me an email there, and you can reach me through if you have Dr. Streetzel's contact, then he can definitely forward that to me as well, or through the journal email that's on the TACUSPA Journal webpage.
Yeah, and for me, you're able to contact me. I'll put it in the chat as well. My school email, my SAM email, and then also you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I get messages from there as well, so you can send me a direct message there, or you can email me.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me, like everybody else, is probably email. I'm typing it in the chat right now. You can call my office phone number. I'm there like 50% of the time when I'm at work. I'm usually running around somewhere. But most of the time my student assistants will answer the phone and give me the message, or it's probably just best to send me an email, and I just put it in the chat.
Great. So if there's any other ideas for the folks watching on YouTube later, if you are watching this and you say, man, I'd love to connect, or plug in and get involved, there's the contact information. I think I contacted all y'all on LinkedIn, except for Elyssa, because I already knew Elyssa. I think I reached out, email and LinkedIn, and was like, hey, we're putting together this webinar. So thank y'all for being responsive. Thanks y'all for making time today. And with that, we'll go ahead and close. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Wednesday. Take care.